Hey, I'm Dave Paul from the 10th Legislative District. Each week I'm trying to take a few minutes to chat with folks about things we've learned in Olympia and to answer questions that folks have from the district. And this week we got a lot of questions about two environmental issues, the proposed plastic bag ban and clean fuel standards. So we thought we'd take a few minutes and answer your questions about those two issues. So first, let's start with plastic bags. We know that's a problem in our district and throughout the state. When I was driving home from Olympia on Friday, driving up to Oak Harbor, I started counting the number of plastic bags I saw caught on bushes and trees on Highway 20 in the 10th District, and it's just tremendous. You lose count so quickly after just a minute. And worse, the bags that aren't caught on trees end up in the Salish Sea and in our waterways. And when we're cleaning up beaches, folks that are doing that are reporting this as a significant contributor to pollution in our waterways. And of course, that's harmful for orcas and other wildlife. And it's also harmful for our commercial composters that are taking our yard waste and food waste, and it clogs up recycling machinery. So I like the idea, for all those reasons and the fact that it fills up landfills, I like the idea of addressing single-use plastic bags. And when we've talked to businesses, some of the business organizations have talked to us, and they do not like the idea of having one-off plastic bag bans. So one county does it this way and one city does it that way. They'd rather have a uniform statewide standard. So we're working towards that, and we also want to make sure that we are not negatively impacting small businesses. So one of the things I made sure was that we would have a fee structure that did not negatively impact the small businesses in our communities. And when I've talked to constituents, the vast majority of people support a plastic bag ban, and folks that have lived elsewhere outside the 10th District that have been affected by one of these rules about not using single-use plastic bags, they've reported that pretty quickly they get used to bringing the recycled bags, the canvas bags, and whatever is they're going to bring home their groceries, they start bringing that very quickly. So that's on plastic bags. I think that we're going to see that bill next week on the House floor, and I look forward to supporting that. So the second issue is the clean fuel transportation. The clean fuel standard that came through transportation last week or a week before. And I've met with both environmental and business leaders about this bill. And we need to do something to protect our environment and protect our climate now. We know that this is a major issue, that climate change is already affecting shellfish industry in our district and already affecting timber and agriculture. So we need to address this. And auto emissions, the transportation sector is the largest contributor to greenhouse gases in the state of Washington right now. It contributes about 45% of greenhouse gases. So we need to do something to address that, and the clean fuel standards will help with that. It will help. Estimates are up to 20% of carbon will be reduced by this standard. And it's going to also provide economic benefits to our community by increasing the demand for biofuels produced either in the 10th District or neighboring communities. So for all those reasons, right now I'm leaning towards supporting the low carbon fuel standards, and I look forward to that vote. And so we also got some questions about the House of Origin cutoff. So I mentioned last week that policy committees, their cutoff was last Friday. And so for a bill to make it out of a policy committee like the Education Committee or the College and Workforce Development Committee, that needed to be passed last Friday. So this Friday is the cutoff for fiscal committees like Appropriations and Transportation, which I serve on. And that starts a process where all those bills have to be on the floor by they've got to be on the floor by the end of this week, or they've got to be scheduled to be on the floor. And they've got to pass the House by March 13th at 5 o'clock. That's the House of Origin cutoff. And so from March 4th to March 13th, we're going to spend almost every day, and we're going to work some very long nights passing bills. We're trying to pass as many bills as possible, but not all bills will make it out of the House. And then that process starts over as we start considering the bills in the Senate. Those will come back to the House, those will come to the House, and we'll start looking at those in our policy and fiscal committees and start that process all over again. So thank you so much for the questions and for watching the videos. I really appreciate it. We're getting lots of positive feedback. If you have questions, my email address is down below. You can also call me at 360-786-7914.